Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar on Reimagining BFSI, Accelerate Growth and Loyalty Through Customer Centricity in the Digital Age. This is Dimple Bajwa from ET Edge welcoming you all to this session. Customers form the core of existence and growth of any business. Their engagement and expectations are higher than ever. To adapt, new business models are emerging, and companies who fail to embrace them will get left behind. BFSI sector began their digital journey years ago and have clear digital strategies. Leaders in digital banking and financial sector are more customer centric, tech savvy, and more inclusive. And they change their fundamentals to achieve the best results. Perhaps the most important step, however, is that BFSI in the digital age requires a drastic, profound reset of how the staff reacts to customer needs. In order to meet consumer demands and match today's pace of innovation, financial leaders are looking to implement digital transformation efforts to keep companies competitive at varying speeds. Digital transformation in BFSI allows you to create a more cohesive and personal digital customer journey. Talking about CRM, which is a category of integrated, data driven software solutions that helps to improve the way you interact and do business with your customers, it helps to manage and maintain customer relationships, track sales leads, marketing, and deliver actionable data. The BFSI landscape is evolving at a rapid pace. Digital is disrupting the way organizations function, and they need to look at new ways to engage with customers in order to remain competitive. Digital technologies, coupled with strategies, are reshaping BFSI operational effectiveness and customer experience. This session will deep dive into topics such as how has the BFSI industry navigated through the pandemic? How have consumer expectations changed post-COVID? What are some of the core focus areas where we look at customer experience? The role of enterprise technologies like CRM in enabling customer centricity in meeting the changing consumer expectations. How do you collaborate across various departments to create a singular view of the business and your consumers? This session will go on for an hour. Please feel free to ask any questions in between by typing in the chat or Q&A window. We will take up all the questions as we proceed with the discussions. Without further ado, I would now invite Irina Ghosh, Executive Director, Cloud Solutions, Microsoft India, for the keynote address. Over to you, Irina.
A very good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for the wonderful context that you set. And needless to say, the BFSI segment is at a sporadic growth rate, which is unprecedented currently. So let's look at some of the trends and transformation along with a wonderful panel out here. And thanks to the entire audience for spending time with us. So as I set the stage, let me put a little bit of a perspective on Microsoft's mission in this entire journey. Our entire mission always has to be towards empowering every person and every organization to achieve more. And this really acts as a North Star in everything we do, whether it's about the product that we build or how we engage with our customers. And it's really not just a mere set of words, because the way it manifests itself is in the right choice of tools and how we bring that to the customers. So let's quickly look at some of the forces which are driving these changes. The forces at work which are driving these to happen are some of these areas which I'm sure everybody is well acquainted with, but I think this got a little more pronounced in the wake of the last 12 months odd. Employee collaboration and the agility with which we need to respond to our customers and how that translates to having the right set of information to be translated back to the customers became a key area. Coupled with the fact that hygiene, safety, and how everything is well protected in this era is a big, big need. Changing customer expectations. I think the big thing that customers are looking at is ease and simplicity, which manifests itself in leveraging the right set of digital tools via mobile via the phones with limited branch need, basically. So, and people are also expecting a consistent overall service across all channels. The next is around the optimization of cost and legacy systems. Needless to say, because of various ways that the banking industry has kind of come across, there have been applications which have been there, but the need of the hour is also to mix and match efficiency with innovation. How do you ensure that you get best out of what was there, but quickly modernize the applications and take them across? Another way that things are coming across in an agile manner is not just the overall journey to the cloud, but building things which are cloud native as well, because that really translates to a lot of agility and serving customers quicker and faster. The other area which we see is coming across is the changing business models. And where else than banking have we seen the emergence of the fintechs, which are coming across in a very, very strong manner? And I think the big question is not whether we compete, but how do we co-opt and coexist to serve the customers better? And I think the entire audience out here and the end users are also kind of seeing those needs. The next one is fraud and cybercrime. Information and data in this industry is of such prime importance that they become easy targets for any hackers. And of course, there have been state-sponsored crimes and cyber criminals which are kind of taking concerted attacks. So that becomes yet another trend. And finally, it's the increasing regulatory norms which are coming across in these environments. So with all these things happening, the way the impact is translating in the customer experience at our levels as consumers is a few things, basically. So we are seeing definitely a reduction in the number of branches, and the speed or the acceleration at which the digital transformation is happening is about 3x, with about 25% reduction in the branches which have been there. The next is about if you really want to make digital the new normal, then getting sales, services, and the digital channels is a new need of the way that we look forward. In fact, the top 10 banks globally have about 90% of their outreach, ways to service customers, done in a digital manner. The next one is towards having a very high focus on value added services. So which means that we relook at the conversation and the dialogue and the value add that we're having to our customers. Is it translating to things at the top end? If not, relook those so that any interaction which happens, whether it's at the call center, whether it's happening at the customer relationship level, that translates to a lot more value added services. And finally, in this entire journey, leveraging artificial intelligence and advanced analytics, which can translate to a lot more revenue at the front end, is a new normal. Segueing from the artificial intelligence and leveraging that, it's really not technology at the end of the day. What does it mean in terms of customers getting a larger benefit? And what does it mean in terms of driving better experience, better loyalty for the banks at large? And I just want to break it up into three parts. What is happening on the customer experience, the employees, and how are we seeing better insights? When you look at the customer experience, now, there are various ways this can manifest itself, right? So when you think about the interactions which are happening, a lot of them are getting evolved along with digital agents. The intelligence with which these digital agents make towards having contextual, the right level of conversations, and then ensuring that the experience is actually enhanced from what it was earlier. Also, giving targeted offers or the next best action to ensure that there's no time which is kind of wasted on the part of the consumer, and also on the bank's part towards giving a very quick and agile view of the new banking products to their own customers. So these things really come across in the first pillar. Added to that, this really helps across in reducing customer churns, because ahead of the curve, there are lots of alerts and triggers you'll be able to get to see that which are the customers where the interaction is going through a fatigue or it's getting lesser, and there's a scope of possibly increasing that, enhancing, and what can be done more. The next one, we think always about digital transformation of our customers and their customers. But before you think about that, how about digital transformation of our own employees? And how does it result in creating a culture where people have a lot more intelligent information in their day to day work? Think about relationship managers or wealth advisory managers. Now, they are really trying day in and day out to deliver the highest level of customer service. For them to do more, but with more assets available to them in terms of tools and technologies, AI has a lot of ways in which it can complement their overall work. Risk, putting across anything which is coming across triggers from disparate systems, disparate data sets, is another area in which you can really have the intelligence telling you things before you know it yourself. Finally, coming across to the insights which are coming, and some of the things which you see here, whether it's in terms of fraud or credit scoring or identity protection, these are areas in which you really want to get information which is not just residing in data that you see within the scope of what you are having at this point of time. But if you're able to kind of take information through a 720-degree view of the customer, which is beyond the data, but through whatever is coming across in social, anywhere else, marrying the data and making intelligent conclusions out of that. So AI-powered insights, and it is that single version of truth which is happening across the entire chain of the organization that really brings about a culture of a very smart way of looking at the next level of banking. Finally, coming across to how to build this entire story together, putting these three things into the cloud framework of what you're doing, say, across in collaboration. How are you stitching towards having a scalable cloud coming across? And finally, serving the needs of the customers through intelligent business applications. The way you can think about it is at one layer, it's all about how can you have a very seamless collaboration in the most secure and effective manner, which is compliant. The second is about ensuring that how are you having the right level of intelligence, risk modeling, blockchain led inferences coming across to everybody within the bank. And these are services which are best delivered along with the cloud infrastructure because it's pulling across triggers from so many devices, signals, processes. How can you really leverage that? And the last is towards ensuring reaching the last mile of the customers through process automation, through following the customer in the entire customer journey and ensuring that we are delivering the best anywhere at any point of time. I do want to wrap up this with one case study of a customer of ours, which is Magma. Now, they are a Mumbai-based NBFC, and they embarked on the journey of CRM along with us, along with Dynamics 365. And they had various needs that they were looking at to be solved, which included being agile, offering the right level of service in the quickest manner to the customer. And they, mind you, their mission is towards investing in the smallest dreams of their consumers. Through the implementation of this and ensuring that there's an integration with the marketing communication channels, the impact which came across was across three areas. The customer experience was a 4x enhancement. It also led to about 3x new leads from cross-sell and upsell. There was a good amount of optimization of costs which happened because you could reduce the turnaround time, you could increase the SLA. But the one which really touches my heart is the last one, which is driving the adoption, because this solution was delivered in little more than 4 months with EY as the partner. And this really resulted in a 90% adoption, which goes to show that the customer adopted this with their entire heart and mind. So with this, thanks a lot to the entire audience here, and back to you to take it forward.
Thanks, Irina, for the wonderful presentation. Now, in order to better understand digital transformation in BFSI, we have with us a power packed panel of speakers lined up for you. First up, we have with us Shalu Kaushik, Executive Vice President Digital, Tata Capital. Joining her is Deeman Thakur, Head of Digital Banking, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. To add to the roster, we have Rohit Bansal, AGM, Liability and Third Party Business, IDBI Bank. Alongside them is Reena Ghosh, Executive Director, Cloud Solutions, Microsoft India. We also welcome Topendra Bhattacharjee, Head Digital Banking, Direct Banking and Analytics, RBL Bank. Joining us next is Kamlesh Vora, Senior Executive Vice President and Head of Customer Experience, Kotak Mahindra Bank Limited. Rounding off the panelists is Manish Sachdeva, Senior Vice President and Head Digital Solutions, Max Life. And steering the conversation is Ashish Kasad, Partner, Tax and Regulatory Services, India Region Diversity and Inclusiveness Leader, India Region Tax Leader, Chemical Sector, EY. Without further ado, I would now invite Ashish to take it from here. Over to you, Ashish.
A very good morning to all our viewers attending this webinar. At the outset, I would like to thank Irina for a wonderful presentation that truly sets the stage and a strong foundation to what promises to be a very insightful panel discussion, given the distinguished panelists that we have here today. So let me start by requesting Shalu, Rohit and Manish to share how has the BFSI industry navigated through this pandemic? How have the consumer expectations changed post-COVID?
Sure, Ashish. So I feel in many ways the COVID-19 pandemic has become a catalyst for change for financial institutions. In fact, it has presented financial industry with an opportunity to make bold changes at a dramatic pace, I think. On the one hand, institutions are now working round the clock to keep the distribution channels or the brick and mortar setup up while adhering to social distancing norms. On the other hand, they have been encouraged into performing functions that were not originally designed to be carried out. So if we talk about customers, today customers expect, in my mind, firstly, higher digital engagement, which is obviously natural to the current timings. Secondly, safety, especially in the near term, safety must be built into the customer experience. Rethinking contactless transaction to promote safety across products, services, processes. It will be critical to put customers at ease and increase their satisfaction. Last one is personalized experience, and we did hear in the presentation as well that continues to be there, which today is more important from a remote perspective as well. What it means is design analytics. Expectations are that companies need to be more proactive and nimbler, as well as able to anticipate what the customer wants. So, all in all, COVID-19 has accelerated the transition to above ways. It has also forced financial institutions to rewrite their physical and digital strategy and identify new ways to meet the customer expectations. while simultaneously rethinking their business models and revenue structures. Over to you, Ashish. Kamlesh would like to take up.
Rohit, will request you.
Hi. Before pandemic, there was a systematic, you can say, snail movement in regard to the digitalization. Organizations are struggling like just for the digital adoption among the customers. Customers switch only specific, like it is on this specific need base or the way they feel comfortable. Then only they feel on this. During the pandemic, what happens like it becomes a mandatory compulsion at the customer end to switch. Organizations already having a basic setup available, but the concern was like how to make them comfortable and familiar with them. Customers have raised issue, lot of issues was that at that time it was the mainly, you can say, frontline and the customer relationship teams that have proven, because ultimately a major segment which initially was not taking care for this, like for digitalization, they have shifted. Customers have having the expectations like post COVID, like how the things will go. They just want only two things where they wanted. First thing is like the expectation what they wanted, a common interface platform which will work as a single stop shop for all the needs they wanted to cover up. And other is the digital security, the major threat that comes next when we enter into this channel. That is like what I feel from my side. Ashish.
I go next.
All great points, Manish. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, Ashish and everyone. Thank you for having me here. Like Shalu also mentioned, yes, COVID, I agree, COVID has acted as a catalyst for the entire industry. First, let me just give you a brief context that as soon as COVID-19 came and hit us, the entire business, kind of came to a grinding halt. Not only the new business actually came to a standstill, but also the existing book also came under a lot of pressure. And from insurance perspective also, the persistency, the claims issues, and the risks went up phenomenally. And the way BFSI industry have kind of responded to it and bounced back is outstanding. First of all, re-engineering their entire process overnight. Just eliminating all the need of signatures and all the papers, etc., was done across the board. All the employees, call centers, enabling them from home so that the servicing can happen to the customer, and customer is comforted in these difficult times is done across the board, and everybody kind of did it extremely fast. Two things which are specific to insurance industry I would like to talk about. One, insurance is not bought. Unfortunately, it is sold. And over there, one of the biggest challenge was that the frontline sales was supposed to be trained so that they can do virtual selling. And entire industry actually responded to this change so very well. All of our frontline sales, they did an awesome job in that. The second thing was in insurance, we do a lot of medical tests. Given this situation was so serious, kind of finding out new ways, telemedicals, home medicals in place of calling customers to the diagnostic centers, etc. They became the need of the hour, and a lot of inventions and a lot of innovations happened in those areas, and we leveraged it. From customer side also, customer has always been, was on its way to, embrace digital. But when COVID-19 hit, they also, kind of accelerated in their acceptance of digital. Their need, their expectation of having everything digital, no paper, etc., went up phenomenally. More importantly, they started comparing. So one may say that insurance industry is kind of a laggard, even behind banks. But when it comes to customer, they don't compartmentalize. They will compare us with the Olas and Ubers of the world, and they will compare us with various other digital native organizations. Therefore, onus was on insurance industry and all the banking industry and BFSI industry to kind of come up to the curve and meet their expectations. Some people have talked about personalization, about their need for targeted communication with them rather than just spraying and praying, etc. Customers became cost conscious. One thing which at least went in our favor from insurance standpoint was that the need for insurance, term insurance, actually went up because of this entire scenario. The Google searches show that about 40-50% uplift in the overall search in that category happened, which kind of helped us. One other thing which kind of helped us connect better with customer was kind of being more empathetic with them. Payments at this point for some customers was difficult, and therefore coming up with solutions where you change the modes, you make it easy on them, you give them revival schemes, and similarly banks also kind of extended the moratorium period for the EMIs, etc. That is something those organizations which have kind of landed it well with customers have gone well in their favor, and customers have also kind of become more loyal towards the organizations.
Thank you so much, Manish. Yes, you did capture a lot of the aspects. It was all about companies having to become more nimble, more innovative in the way they dealt with the customers and so on. So turning it over to Kamlesh and Dhiman, what are some of the core focus areas when looking at the customer experience? What were some of the challenges faced and steps taken to mitigate that when looking at personalizing the experience?
Kamlesh, you want to go ahead first?
I can go ahead, Dhiman. Yeah, all right. First, thank you for having me here on this panel. Very pertinent to really take a step back and actually ask what exactly is the customer expectation. Many of us, and we heard also in the previous presentation that it's all about personalization, it's about experience, but essentially to me, it's about first understanding the customer. So many of us say that I care for you, I trust you, I respect you. The customer is saying it's about not telling me, show me. Do we really know? We in the BFSI do a lot of KYC, but do we really know customers? And I think the important thing is about trying to get to know who your customer is, the context of how he interacts with us, what is his business all about, and how are we adding value to him? How does he use my product? Where does he find value in what we provide to him? How does he prefer to interact with us? I think if you start getting to know these things first, it kind of helps you to really orchestrate the kind of experience that you want to design. Because today, like one of our earlier, I think Manish mentioned that the lines are blurring. Customer expectations are, if a Uber can do it, if an Ola can do it, or if a Netflix can, or Spotify can, why can't you? So gone are the times when he's comparing us with a bank alone. Right? He's kind of going across categories. It's not just about the product, but across categories. And he's living a particular experience that he experienced on a different platform, and he wants that to happen in a bank. Now, for him, it doesn't matter that you have a legacy platform. It doesn't matter that you have different touch points. But he's just saying, if I kind of reached out to you at a call center and then subsequently I was on my mobile banking and then at your branch, why won't I be able to really continue my journey and kind of interact with you? Secondly, so that's one context. Second thing is that human beings are social people. We kind of like to connect. We really care for small things. So, for example, if I'm interacting with, and I kind of go back to my father's example, that he keeps saying to me that when I go to a bank branch, and he has been a loyal customer of one of the banks, I will not get into which one, but the minute he enters the bank branch, he loves that people in the branch know him. They know him by name. There's a smile, there's a clear empathy that they are able to demonstrate to him, and he can see that. He comes back and asks that, when I go to your different digital platforms and technologies, how do I really build that empathy? I don't see a personal connection. So I think some of those are areas that we need to really look back at, saying that if today the lines are blurring, customer expectations are becoming very simple but very clear, and that there's a need for getting to know me, what can we do? So the big challenge to me, and there's a lot of things around it, Ashish, but the big thing for me is at the bank, we have a lot of data. All of us have a lot of data. We have a lot of technology. The challenge is, how do you really bring this together?
No. It's okay. It's a seminar. How are you, sir?
Anjay, can we have you on mute, please? Can I go ahead? Okay, thank you. So it's about how do you bring this together. Now, the challenge for us is that, customers' expectations are being simple, as I mentioned. At the bank, what do we do is, how do we constantly, while you keep constantly uplifting your level of service, while you constantly try and simplifying things, while you are constantly trying to be available where the customer is, the key largely is about bringing all of this together, making your entire experience personal. And today we keep talking about hyper personalization, the segment of one. Yeah, every customer wants something specific for me. While you have a mapped relationship where you give an RM to a higher, wealthier customer category, but the expectation of everyone is that give me one touch point, give me one place where I can interact with. How do you really build something which is very specific for me and not for anybody else? Now, with all this data available, the challenge for us is how do you bring the data and the context together? Yeah, and particularly for many of us, as we kept evolving, as journeys kept becoming more and more complex. While we felt that there are customers who will go only digital, there are customers who will only go physical. I also heard in the earlier presentation that the number of branches are, and people do debate: is there going to be an end of brick and mortar structures? But I think the world is becoming more and more complex. Digital possibly maybe the new way forward. And as more and more journeys are at touch points emerge, customers, and we noticing that at least in the bank, that customers are comfortable to touch and use many of those channels. As they interact at different touch points and different journeys, the challenge for us is that while data resides, but the data resides in different silos. A lot of it is really repetitive, duplicated. How do you really clean the data, bring them together to get one unified view of the customer, the context of how he was interacting with us? And if you are able to really bring that together, which is what we are doing at the bank through technologies like data warehouse and data lakes, to see how I can really bring those information about the customer at one place to get a more clearer view of who is he, what is the context, and for what context does he prefer to go, what places, to really then deliver a personalized experience. Thanks, Ashish.
Thanks, Kamlesh. Over to you, Ridhiman.
Hi, thanks Ashish. Thanks for having me here. Well, we've spoken a lot about some apps which are ride-sharing apps, food ordering apps, and they are the ones who are actually defining the customer experience, right? And rightly so. And I believe coming from a BFSI industry, it is also unfortunate for us. Today, if we see, there is no single BFSI brand who is the epitome of customer experience. Some would say that for all these apps and all these services which are there, which are niche services which are provided, it is much more easier for them to control the entire customer experience, redefine and constantly innovate on that experience. Whereas the BFSI industry, especially banks, they cater into a lot of products and services. Well, that may be one aspect of it. Essentially, what exactly is the customer experience that people today want? If there is any need, I need to cater to that need quickly, and I will go with anybody who helps me fulfill that need, immediately and right away, right? That's essentially one part. And the second part is, if I have any problem, I will go with somebody who can solve that problem quickly. If it's my current service provider, I want that problem to be resolved quickly, right? These are the two basic needs of any customer experience across all the products, right? And like I also said that it is unfortunate BFSI industry has not done that. So one of the focus areas I would say is consistency of experience, which is very much important. The quick response of the overall experience, which is the second aspect, which is also important. And the third aspect I would say is very important is the right selling of products and services. In our entire focus on driving sales and getting all the numbers, we often forget that it is all about the customer. If you sell the right products and the right services to the customer at the right time, the customer is going to eventually feel that yes, this brand is somebody who gives me the right experience across. Case in point being, if you see food ordering apps, they show you that okay, these are the cards which will give you the best offers. They in fact work with you to ensure that your total bill value actually comes down and you're not paying, what is essentially shown. How many times have we seen banks telling you that if you don't break your FD for just 2 more days, you will end up getting a higher rate of interest, right? So these are the kind of things that build overall good customer experience. I agree with Kamlesh when he said that data consolidation is one of the key challenges, and it is rightly so there. It is very important for us to have a single source of truth, overall data consolidation. There are a lot of fintechs and other companies which are working towards making this a seamless experience. Many of the BFSI companies, especially banks, come with a lot of legacy systems, right? So there are technologies which are available today. It is all about getting all the data in one place, making sense of that data, and having the right infrastructure to enable us to make sense of that data. And when I say having the right infrastructure, I obviously mean having some sort of a cloud integration where cloud technology can help us, evaluate data and give the right customer experience. One of the things that we've done as part of Ujjivan Bank, we cater to the mass market segment, the unserved and underserved population. We have this program called Ajivan Ujjivan, which translates into lifelong Ujjivan. Basically, what we do is at every life stage of the customer, right from birth of a child in the family to the child turning 18 or marriage or so on and so forth. There are various other things which the customer needs, not only banking. It could be just updating of your Aadhaar card or changing some details in the PAN card, so on and so forth, which effectively are required for your banking and BFSI experience. So what we've done is we've actually helped the customer, we handhold the customer through this entire process, not directly related to banking, but indirectly related to the banking products and services, which actually is defining a very good customer experience for us at the moment. And I see this going forward in a big way if we put customer at the center and provide the right experience with the right technology. That's what my views are. Thanks, Ashish.
Wonderful insights both from Kamlesh and Dhiman. Truly now the customer is the king. They do have access to many more service providers with whom they are comparing, every service that they are experiencing, and ye dil mange more, if I may put it that way. So that brings me very much, to the next question, Irina and Dhiman. Would love to hear you share your perspective on how can banks then grow themselves digitally to become. We heard Kamlesh talk about digital, which is the new norm. So how can they now grow digitally to become more customer focused, and how do you translate that into a balance between cost and innovation?
Okay, so let me take a shot at it. And thanks to Shalu, she talked about the personalization and that also becoming hyper-personalized. And Dhiman, good to hear about all the initiatives which are kind of going the last mile. When you talk about customer focused, I was actually looking at the lens of my father. He's about 80, and in the last 1 year, he had to learn so many things. And anytime I was going to him to say that, look at this new way of interacting with the bank, because he used to be going there physically. And he used to ask me 3 things. Is it simple? Is it suited for me? And is it safe? So these are the 3 things which used to stick to me, that whenever we are offering, this is from the layman side, that 80-year-old person, he's like really wanting that. So when you think about that, we've come across with a lot of ways of getting customer focused in the banking industry via, say, self-service options, right? The natural language way that we are interacting, the way that we are onboarding customers across, and so many other things towards automation, etc. Also, when we are talking about the 720-degree view of the customer, checking out what is happening on the social media, etc., and getting a sentiment of what do they really want. And another point that Kamlesh had talked about, ensuring that whosoever is interacting with the customer, are they trained towards giving the right set of information to them at that right point of time, so that they make a choice which is not an overload, but it is suited for them. So these are things I think need to go across beyond the rest of the things which all the panelists talk about, to create a culture of being really customer focused, right? How does every person have this in their DNA when they're bringing across? This, of course, comes with a lot of process and tools which need to be brought in, and it will translate to an element of cost. But I would just say that the efficiency is over a period of time. So when we're just translating the cost versus the value, there are certain upfront costs, there are hidden costs. However, in a similar manner, there are upfront benefits, and now there are also unstated benefits. What is happening in terms of the increased loyalty that we are getting? What is happening in terms of increased efficiency by, say, optimizing what people were doing? So if you have, say, automation, bots, etc., doing it, are you having a higher level of your own employees being satisfied, not doing the mundane, repetitive tasks? And is that translating to having a loyal bunch of customers who are traversing with you and betting on you for the next set of things that you're about to launch? So I would say that certain of these things become untangible, but in the longer run, betting on what is the way of delivering the customer's success 12 months from now and thinking about it today with an automated set of tools, technologies, process, and people is the real journey. Over to you, Dhiman.
Thanks, Irina. I think you spoke about two things which I was also going to speak about, which is with regards to innovation in the digital space, which defines customer experience. I believe we need two things. One is agility and the other is intent. Intent is what you spoke about with regards to the right culture being brought in the organization, so I won't touch much upon that. But agility is another important area which actually is brought about by the processes, policies, technology that any organization builds in. I would also like to add to the point that innovation is often perceived as a very costly affair. You need to have a lot of investments in new technology, systems, processes, people, so on and so forth. I would say it is not so. It is a misconception. Today, if you have the right intent and basic technology investments that you have made, especially in terms of an extended API framework, which your organization has, I believe innovation and fast-paced innovation is really possible, coupled with the large fintech ecosystem which is available out there. And a lot of large players such as Microsoft and the others are working with a lot of fintech partners and they are actually introducing these fintech partners to BFSI players to co-create products and services, innovative products and services, which cater to the customer and focus on specific problems. Some of the things which Ujjivan Bank did as part of the whole COVID pandemic is there is a clear need for us to ensure that the customers who take loans from us have the convenience to repay, right? And most of these are micro loan customers where we used to go for center meets. We actually physically meet the customers and collect the EMIs from them, right? With the right API framework and the right fintechs, we were able to increase our entire repayments infrastructure to about 1.5 million collection points. And a lot of personalized collection digital links were actually being given to the customer so that with the convenience of being in their home and without putting themselves and our employees in the danger of coming in contact with each other, they could actually make the repayments, right? So these are some of the innovations that one could do. They are very simple things to implement, and they actually go ahead and give a superlative experience to the customers. Thanks, Ashish.
Thank you. That was a comprehensive response to the questions from Irina and Dhiman. In the earlier question, Kamlesh did speak about big data being available now in plenty, whether through KYC or other means on social media and every other way. And it's creating a lot of information available. You can have data lakes through cloud and other means. So Topendra, Shalu and Kamlesh, tell us what role enterprise technologies like CRM can play in enabling the customer centricity in meeting the changing customer expectations.
Sure, Ashish. So as we all understand, CRM is primarily used for managing interactions with current and prospective customers. And how does it benefit customer's standpoint, obviously it elevates the experience and the satisfaction. From an organizational perspective, it increases the efficiency, productivity, knowing customer better. So that's what is CRM all about. In today's time of digitization era or the virtual world, I feel the CRM, the role of CRM has further got elevated or has got into focus, as the customer expectation is when he or she interacts with your organization, you should know his or her needs, should help in their decision making, suggest the right product or provide the desired solution or resolution to the complaint or the requirement which he or she has. Like at Tata Capital, what we have, if any customer reaches out to us for any kind of service requirement, just taking one example, of course, our first endeavor is to provide instant service resolution. However, if at all we are not able to service on the go and it's not feasible for some reason, we register this particular request or requirement through the CRM tools, which not only helps the customer in clearly tracking the progress where exactly the request is and what's happening to the requirement, but also it also takes care of our internal hierarchical cross-functional flow for actioning the requirement. So I feel in today's time, CRM role has completely got elevated and has got into more focus. Kamlesh, you would like to go next? I think you're on mute, Kamlesh.
So, just agree with what you mentioned. Not just about helping you to connect and create and meet the customer as wherever he is, and also to track your service request. I think CRM kind of touches the entire life cycle of the customer engagement with us, right from acquisition to his onboarding to how he interacts with us to any purchase decision that he may do in the future date. At every stage in life, at the stage in interaction with us, you are able to, with a right implementation, and as I earlier said as well, technology is just an enabler. So it's about the right processes and policies that you put in place and how you really deploy the technology, which will help you to bring out the best of experience. So be it on an onboarding journey to ensure that every need is captured, to be able to recommend then and there itself, the customer does pick up his requirement, relevant product information, to possibly even pitching a product which is appropriate. And like Deepak mentioned, one of the big issues that customers today do face is that it's about awareness about how this financial product would help them meet their goals. So if you, and CRM today has the capabilities to really provide that insights and information upfront to the customer at the minute. Customers today are wanting to get information upfront, and that's what CRM can do. Servicing we already heard about, but let's say even at the time of engaging with the bank like us, customer, one of the key things that we keep hearing, and I said, customers are moving from don't tell me, show me. So we keep telling him that we care for you, we respect you, we know you. But if you really don't know me, give me an offer which is personalized to me, which is available at the touch point and channel which I am going to be available at. And CRM has the capabilities today where you're able to deliver that seamless to the customer, a personalized offer at a channel, at a touch point of his choosing. So that's something which CRM can do, in a lot of it. But as I said, it's about how you want to really deploy this technology. It's easier said than done. It's about really bringing about all of this together. And very important aspect also here is about the culture that would be important to get the best out of this. Over to you, Ashish or Manish.
Yeah, I think I'll just add a couple of points over there. I think it has been beautifully put by the fellow panelists that CRM now has become the central to the strategy and engagement with customers. Irina mentioned the 720 degree. At this point of time, the kind of conversations which are happening between the organization and the customer, be it your phone calls, website, chat, walk-ins, social media, it is extremely important that all this information actually is brought at one place, powered by the right kind of people who are looking at it and then responding to the customer, along with the AI-enabled automations. For example, voice bots, chat bots, email bots, whatever it is, so that you are able to meaningfully engage with customers. And specifically for an industry like insurance, where we are a low touch industry, it is famous that we talk to customers only 2 times. One when we want premium, the second one when there is a complaint, when customer reaches out to us. And therefore, it's extremely important for an organization like us. 2 things. One, if the customer is reaching out to us or we are reaching out to them, we make it meaningful. It has to be an experience, an omni-channel experience. It should not happen that from every channel we start from love all and kind of frustrate the customer. And that is why this plays a very, very central part for us. And the second thing, which is even more important, is that it kind of creates a lot of new ways when you look at all the data together, how you engage more smartly and better with customers and create opportunities for you like cross-sell, etc. And that is how we believe CRM is playing a big role for us, and it's going to evolve further.
Yeah. Ashish, can I go?
Yes, please.
Hi. Finally. So thank you for having me here. So a few things that I was hearing through, and I think my fellow panelists have gone through most of it. There are only a couple of things that I want to double click on. So if you look at it, in today's date, when we are looking at certain customer cohorts that are emerging especially post the pandemic, there are certain needs which are coming across from a customer perspective. In fact, most of what I wanted to speak about has been, I could say Kamlesh ditto, and it goes ahead as even in our organization. But a few things which have been spoken just now. So one of them being, the simplicity of delivery to a customer. So at the end of the day in India, most of the customer base is on a 5-inch screen. It is not a large screen. So the first thing is the front end. So in the front end, if you have certain complex structures, you have lost him straight off. Okay, so that is one part of it in terms of simplicity of delivery. And this all comes from when you speak to him and figure out, what is he looking for. So we use certain AI-enabled solutions which actually tell us how is he traversing inside the app. And we figure out, there are those only top 3-4 functions or features that he clicks on throughout his life cycle. So that makes it one point. Okay. Therefore, we need to ease his decision fatigue. And that helps a lot from a perspective that he is enabled by the bank or the organization to choose what he really needs. And of course, it leads back to the personalization conversation that just happened, whether it is hyper or whether it is pure personalization, whether we have been able to reach n is equal to 1 or not. It comes from, how much fatigue are you easing for him. The second thing that I thought I would touch upon is on the data silos that Kamlesh mentioned. It's a huge problem in especially legacy organizations. And how do you get the entire thing together? Whether you have a snazzy CRM right on top of it or not doesn't matter until unless you have the entire data talking to each other. So if they are split apart, there is no way in which we will be able to deliver what the customer is looking forward to, which is one view. I learned 720 degrees today actually. But having said that, that one view is critical, and to reach that one view, you need to really help the data to come in one place. And with the cost of storage of data as well as processing of data going down, I think it's getting simpler from a technological perspective, and that's a challenge that we all, I think, here around are solving for. So that helps the major piece. Okay. The third thing that I wanted to touch on is, again, from CRM perspective, is the point that I think 2 of my panelists spoke about is, Indian customers are DIFM in nature, means do it for me. Okay, while we may say we are digitally savvy, digitally native, but there is this set who, like I think Kamlesh mentioned again, sorry for bringing it in again, is that his dad, when he enters the bank branch, they know him. And the the point that is there in the underlying is that, even when I'm doing digital, how do I get a hybrid experience? How do I get that single touch point? How is that possibility of a phygital coming in? So that's again something that a CRM helps, where you can actually connect the digital experience with the physical experience and create a phygital experience which actually runs well in the Indian context quite well. The last point that I wanted to make, and that I think is critical and has not been touched upon today, is about data privacy and data security for customers, and the entire security piece in terms of adoption of digital. So while most of my fellow panelists spoke about how the newer channels are emerging and how the interfaces for the customer is increasing. For example, when you talk about service today, your Twitter handle rings first before your 1800 line. So that's a big challenge that all of us are facing. Plus, there is a whole lot of vulnerabilities which have got exposed, especially with the adoption of digital channels which are happening now. With these newer, as soon as a new channel comes in, the new vulnerabilities are visible. So that set of people are a step ahead of us in some sense. So how do we manage this? So that is another space where entire data handling has become very critical. And for us, for example, we have a multi-layer security system which we have put in, which includes not only the traditional layers that are there, but incrementally a lot of behavioral analytics running beneath it, so that we can actually do a risk-based filing of the customer and also provide a personalized service to him in the form of the risk assessment that is done in the background. So therefore, figuring his behaviorals around the devices, around the network, around the variables which are not common to a regular security framework are things that we have been now capturing and building a layer much more personalized to each of the customers, depending on where he is logging in from, what is he doing around it, and how is he managing his own work. So these are a few things that I thought was, around most of the conversations that happened. Since I came in last, I had the opportunity to culminate it as well. So thank you so much.
Tapendra. Thank you. Actually, our next question was exactly around not compromising on data security while investing in various innovative platforms. And there, I would just request Irina if she could share a bit on how companies, whether it's banks, insurance companies, financial institutions, can undertake these product digitization and things like that without compromising data security, which is so important in this area.
Right. I'll just build on where Tapendra ended, and he covered a lot of the things in terms of how we are intentionally and proactively looking at security. I think the part about going contactless and going across to a larger population across multiple devices also means that you are able to protect the security of the person irrespective of where they are kind of reaching out to you. So the identity becoming the crux of how we are looking at the person to have a homogeneous experience and keeping the security becomes very, very crucial, right? And in that context, it's also very important that we have the manageability coupled along with the identity. And from a bank standpoint, we are really keeping, say, the employees' data or the first line workers' information really safe, because privacy, compliance, I think apart from pharma, banking is at the same level wherein all the regulatory norms would always hit. So how are you really looking at that? The second part, again, building on what Tapendra said, was zero trust foundation. I mean, thinking about the fact that if you've not been breached, you will be breached. And when you will be breached, these are the three set of things that I have to do. It's like a fire drill. When you think about the pandemic, while everybody knew of all exigencies, it was like multiple exigencies happened at the same time. So having that kind of a readiness built in and proactively having the ability to deal in, so cyber resilience as an overall mindset is frankly something that needs to be discussed at a board level. I must say, I mean, 12 months back when we all talked about cybersecurity and we're thinking of improving the posturing of security at banks and every organization, it was still a good to have. Now we know that it's a necessity. We really have to look at it, and this is frankly the reason why, right from the board to every organization and all of you sitting here, we all lose our sleep on. So how do we ensure that we build that proactively going forward itself? Back to you, Ashish.
Thanks so much, Irina, and all these fantastic panelists. I didn't realize how fast we've come to close to the hour. And I would like to thank all of you for sharing your valuable insights and keeping the session so interactive. I'm certain that the same has enriched all the participants to this webinar, and everyone would have some important takeaways from this. I would like to now pass it over to Dimple to close this session, please.
Thank you, Ashish, and thank you to all the panelists for joining us today. We will now end this session, which has undoubtedly been very engaging and insightful. And I'm sure our participants would have got some rewarding insights today. I thank the panelists once again for sharing their knowledge and experience with us. Thank you for joining this session on Reimagining BFSI, Accelerate Growth and Loyalty Through Customer Centricity in the Digital Age. Please join us for more such webinars. This is Dimple Bajwa signing off. Stay safe and healthy.
you